Thank you for joining us today for We Know Their Names, a virtual Srebrenica commemoration. My name is Ida Sefer, and I serve as the president of the board for the Bosnian American Genocide Institute, a nonprofit organization dedicated to research and education pertaining to the genocides that occurred in Bosnia and in the Balkans. We have gathered virtually today to honor the victims and survivors of the genocide in Srebrenica that occurred in 1995, from July 11th through July 22nd. Where 8,373 Bosnian Muslims, primarily men and boys, were executed in the Srebrenica region of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And every year on July 11th, we recognize this day as a day of mourning as we commemorate the Srebrenica genocide. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide. To fully contextualize the story of the Srebrenica genocide, we must look back to the spring of 1992. When the war and genocide began in Bosnia and Herzegovina. After the death of Yugoslavia's primary leader, Josip Broz Tito, Islamophobic ethno-nationalism escalated throughout Yugoslavia for well over a decade before the citizens of Bosnia declared independence. As Slovenia and Croatia declared independence, the leadership and weaponry of the Yugoslav National Army became centralized in Serbia. The Islamophobic rhetoric and warmongering concerned many residents of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which led to a push for sovereignty in 1991. However, after a lack of recognition by the European Economic Community, the citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina held a referendum for independence from the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in spring of 1992 to validate the population's need for independence. With a voter turnout larger than 60%, 99.7% of voters agreed to an independent Bosnia and Herzegovina. The population of Bosnia and Herzegovina was historically very diverse in ethnic and religious composition, which included populations who held a firm belief in Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and many others who did not align themselves to a faith at all. Out of the 4 million residents, Muslim Bosnians, often referred to as Bosniaks, made up about 44% of the population, in comparison to 31% of Christian Orthodox Serbs and 17% of Catholic Croats who were also residents and citizens of Bosnia. On April 6, 1992, the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina received recognition from the European Economic Community and the United States as an independent nation. The creation of an independent Bosnian nation that would have had Bosnian Muslims, Bosniaks, as a majority was opposed by many ethno-nationalist Bosnian Serbs, who launched a military campaign with the support of the Serbian government and the Yugoslav National Army. Their primary goal was to secure the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina and to terrorize the Muslim civilian population through organized concentration camps, physical, emotional, and sexual torture, which included sexual assault, trafficking, enslavement, and forced birthing, dehumanization, the erasure of the Bosnian Muslim identity, history, and language, expulsion and theft of property, deprivation of resources, starvation, and planned and organized execution of men, women, children, and the elderly. What began with the shelling of Sarajevo on April 6, 1992, spread throughout Bosnia from concentration camps in larger cities to absolute annihilations of entire family trees in smaller villages. After 3 years of occupation, and after being designated a safe area by the United Nations in 1993, Srebrenica was overrun in July of 1995 by Bosnian Serb forces led by General Ratko Mladic. With no resistance from UN peacekeepers, Bosnian Serb militia began to systematically separate families and communities by separating the Bosniak men and boys from the women and girls. The men and boys were rounded up and taken to various execution and torture sites, where they were killed en masse and buried in 94 different mass grave sites. Some women and girls were taken to never be seen again, while others were sexually assaulted and were prevented from seeking help when they were forcibly impregnated. Young children and the elderly were not exempt from this violence. As the youngest victim, Fatima Muhic, was less than a day old when she died, while Saha Izmirlic was 94 years old when she died. According to the International Commission of Missing Persons, 563 children and 60 women were murdered in Srebrenica. The international community, represented by the United Nations peacekeeping forces, failed to protect the 8,373 men, women, children, and the elderly from being brutally murdered, all while the victims were misled into believing that they would receive protection in the event of an ambush. The brutality of the Srebrenica genocide is unfathomable. The perpetrators, after executing primarily men and boys, would later return with heavy machinery to dig up the mass graves, to disperse the remains of the victims at multiple grave sites in order to conceal the evidence of the genocide. And many victims' remains were often found in 3 to 4 mass graves as a result. Many families would have a funeral to only a year later, or even a decade later, would have to exhume the body of the victim to add the additional remains to the burial. The aftermath of the Srebrenica genocide left deep scars on Bosnia and Herzegovina. According to the International Commission of Missing Persons, of the 8,373 who were murdered in Srebrenica, 7,017 have been identified via their DNA, while there are over 1,000 still missing. To date, 6,772 people have received a proper burial in Srebrenica. This year, 7 additional victims were buried. Senaid Avdic, Haris Mujic, Rifet Gabelic, Hasib Omerovic, Sedalia Alic, Amir Mujcic. Over the 3-year span of the genocidal occupation of Bosnia, 2 million people were displaced, 100,000 people were murdered, 80% of whom were Muslims. Between 20,000 and 50,000 women were sexually assaulted. Over 30,000 people, including men, women, children, and the elderly, were imprisoned in concentration camps. The DNA evidence and the courageous testimony of survivors, some who still face threats of violence and discrimination in Bosnia, efforts towards justice were primarily executed through the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Courts of Justice, as they both recognized what happened at Srebrenica was a genocide. 20 individuals have been tried at the ICTY. 57 appeared before the State Court of Bosnia and Herzegovina, resulting in 4 life sentences and 38 other sentences due to DNA identification. While accountability has been the primary hurdle for reconciliation, the annual commemoration of the Srebrenica genocide stands as a solemn occasion to remember and mourn the victims and stand in solidarity with victims and survivors. For the last 30 years, thousands of Bosnian diaspora community members have taken the time to recognize July 11th away from Srebrenica as a day of mourning and remembrance. Some even through city, state, and country proclamations and resolutions. Last year, the UN General Assembly designated July 11th as the International Day of Reflection and Commemoration of the 1995 genocide in Srebrenica. These commemorations of the Srebrenica genocide on July 11th hold profound significance, not only for the victims and their families, but also for other victims and survivors of the genocide in Bosnia, whose perpetrators have escaped accountability. Over the next few days, you will hear a number of volunteers from around the world who have taken the time to read the names of all of the Srebrenica genocide victims. While you may not know these names personally, we want you to take the time to listen and/or read the names being recited. You may hear the same name multiple times, and that is not in error. These are all individuals who died during the Srebrenica genocide. The genocide in Srebrenica, which culminated in July of 1995, was not an isolated event, but the final chapter in a broader campaign of systemic persecution and violence against Bosnian Muslims over the period of 3 years. The genocide in Bosnia serves as a stark reminder of the horrors of war and the devastating consequences of ethnic hatred. And as a community of genocide survivors, we must have a collective commitment to truth-telling, justice, and accountability in the face of genocide denial, as we have seen time and time again how it is impacting our current political system. And we cannot do that without recognizing the devastating effects of mass imprisonment and enslavement of the Uyghurs, the destructive invasion of Ukraine, the state-sponsored violence in Syria, the genocide of the Tigray in Ethiopia, the devastating violence in Sudan, and the frightening use of military power to imprison innocent refugees and immigrants in the United States. And of course, the longest modern-day and internationally sponsored occupation and genocide of the people of Palestine. As a community of survivors, we cannot stay silent as others are dehumanized and violence against them is argued as justified and acceptable retaliation. There is no justified retaliation against a civilian population. July 11th is vital in preserving the historical record and countering denial and revisionism. By remembering and documenting the atrocities committed during the Srebrenica genocide, we confront the past and reject any attempts to distort or deny the truth. It stands as a collective commitment to truth-telling, justice, and accountability. And the first truth that must be spoken is a name. And with this act, we will know all 8,373 of their names. Thank you.
My name is Tom Simpson. Today I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Mujo Hodžić, 24 years old. Mujo Hodžić, 43 years old. Mujo Hodžić, 44 years old. Mujo Hodžić, 55 years old. Mulaga Hodžić, 65 years old. Muris Hodžić, 16 years old. Mustafa Hodžić, 28 years old. Mustafa Hodžić, 55 years old. Nejad Hodžić, 21 years old. Nazir Hodžić, 26 years old. Nurif Hodžić, 54 years old. Omer Hodžić, 38 years old. Omer Hodžić, 69 years old. Osman Hodžić, 21 years old. Osmo Hodžić, 51 years old. Ragib Hodžić, 47 years old. Ramiz Hodžić, 34 years old. Rashid Hodžić, 46 years old. Reshid Hodžić, 24 years old. Rifat Hodžić, 57 years old. Sabahuddin Hodžić, 23 years old. Sabahuddin Hodžić, 30 years old. Shaban Hodžić, 18 years old. Sabit Hodžić, 33 years old. Sabit Hodžić, 37 years old. Shabo Hodžić, 57 years old. Shabo Hodžić, 59 years old. Safet Hodžić, 27 years old. Safet Hodžić, 50 years old. Shahin Hodžić, 56 years old. Salcin Hodzic, 63 years old. Salih Hodzic, 55 years old. Salko Hodzic, 63 years old. Sedif Hodzic, 18 years old. Shefik Hodzic, 40 years old. Seifo Hodzic, 37 years old. Senaid Hodzic, 20 years old. Sinan Hodzic, 33 years old. Smail Hodzic, 37 years old. Smail Hodzic, 30 years old. Suad Hodzic, unknown age at death. Suleiman Hodzic, 27 years old. Suleiman Hodzic, 38 years old. Uzair Hodzic, 49 years old. Vahdet Hodzic, 27 years old. Vahidin Hodzic, 19 years old. Zaim Hodzic, 63 years old. Zurriyet Hodzic, 28 years old. Zulfo Hodzic, 56 years old. Nasser Hodzic, 34 years old. Samir Hodzic, 29 years old. Sayad Hodzic, 56 years old. Saqib Hoshbo, 35 years old. Muhammad Khrbat, 35 years old. Elvir Khrelic, 18 years old. Ibrahim Khrelic, 37 years old. Osman Khrelic, 55 years old. Rudolf Khren, 35 years old. Abdullah Harnic, 32 years old. Adem Harnic, 41 years old. Asim Harnic, 20 years old. Chamil Harnic, 57 years old. Hassan Harnic, 71 years old. Hasib Harnic, 39 years old. Hussein Harnic, 64 years old. Ibrahim Harnic, 30 years old. Isak Harnic, 31 years old. Izet Harnic, 17 years old. Mehmed Harnic, 67 years old. Mehmedalia Harnic, 40 years old. Meho Harnic, 43 years old. Muhyiddin Harnic, 41 years old. Mustafa Harnic, 26 years old. Nezir Harnic, 57 years old. Ramiz Harnic, 26 years old. Ramo Harnic, unknown age at death. Razim Harnjic, 19 years old. Rejo Harnjic, 56 years old. Safet Harnjic, 33 years old. Salko Harnjic, 34 years old. Salko Harnjic, 44 years old. Sayad Harnjic, 41 years old. Sanad Harnjic, 35 years old. Zaim Harnjic, 32 years old. Mehmed Hršić, 19 years old. Niyaz Hršić, 49 years old. Amo Hrustanović, 40 years old. Atif Hrustanović, 16 years old. Bego Hrustanović, 63 years old. Dahmo Hrustanović, 18 years old. Dahmo Hrustanović, 45 years old. Aiden Hrustanović, 19 years old. Ashif Hrustanović, 32 years old. Hayrudin Hrustanović, 27 years old. Hazim Hrustanović, 23 years old. Huso Hrustanović, 57 years old. Huso Hrustanović, 59 years old. Ibro Hrustanović, 36 years old. Ismet Hrustanović, 56 years old. Mahmut Hrustanović, 56 years old.
My name is Almira Mujic, and I will be reading the names of 100 victims that were murdered during the genocide of Srebrenica. Meira Hrustanović, unknown age of death. Mahudin Hrustanović, 15 years old. Mustafa Hrustanović, 48 years old. Omer Hrustanović, 19 years old. Ramo Hrustanović, 45 years old. Rifet Hrustanović, 31 years old. Shamso Hrustanović, 41 years old. Tahir Hrustanović, 30 years old. Azem Hrustic, 36 years old. Aziz Hrustic, 39 years old. Basim Hrustic, 18 years old. Hassan Hrustic, 62 years old. Ibrahim Hrustic, 53 years old. Ibro Hrustic, 24 years old. Ismet Hrustic, 55 years old. Jakub Hrustic, 63 years old. Yasmin Hrustic, 17 years old. Mehmed Hrustic, 46 years old. Mohamed Hrustic, 49 years old. Mushka Hrustic, 79 years old. Mustafa Hrustic, 49 years old. Najib Hrustic, 49 years old. Omer Hrustic, 44 years old. Pashan Hrustic, 56 years old. Sabria Hrustic, 30 years old. Saduddin Hrustic, 20 years old. Saad Hrustic, 28 years old. Semir Hrustic, 22 years old. Smile Hrustic, 35 years old. Abdullah Hrvacic, unknown age of death. Hayruddin Hrvacic, 41 years old. Nedzad Hrvacic, 28 years old. Nurko Hrvacic, 52 years old. Sabit Hrvacic, 34 years old. Hazim Hablic, 30 years old. Ibrahim Hablic, 61 years old. Meho Hablic, 68 years old. Salko Hablic, 42 years old. Teufik Hablic, 30 years old. Adem Hukic, 59 years old. Adem Hukic, unknown age of death. Ahmet Hukic, 42 years old. Ayvaz Hukic, 33 years old. Baria Hukic, 25 years old. Bayazit Hukic, 21 years old. Bayro Hukic, 62 years old. Bega Hukic, 37 years old. Basim Hukic, 33 years old. Daoud Hukic, 55 years old. Edhem Hukic, 19 years old. Alvedin Hukic, 17 years old. Gaibia Hukic, 41 years old. Haydin Hukic, 53 years old. Hayruddin Hukic, 51 years old. Hidayet Hukic, 25 years old. Hussein Hukic, 53 years old. Ibrahim Hukic, 33 years old. Idris Hukic, unknown age of death. Mehmedalia Hukic, 39 years old. Mevludin Hukic, 17 years old. Mirzet Hukic, 24 years old. Muyo Hukic, 18 years old. Muyo Hukic, 58 years old. Munir Hukic, 22 years old. Niaz Hukic, 16 years old. Omer Hukic, 36 years old. Ramiz Hukic, 55 years old. Rashid Hukic, 30 years old. Ramzia Hukic, 50 years old. Rashid Hukic, 49 years old. Shaban Hukic, 57 years old. Sabit Hukic, 25 years old. Sadat Hukic, 18 years old. Said Hukic, 19 years old. Samir Hukic, 18 years old. Saad Hukic, 21 years old. Shechko Hukic, 61 years old. Sheko Hukic, 61 years old. Shecho Hukic, 61 years old. Senad Hukic, 26 years old. Sadiq Hukic, 18 years old. Tahir Hukic, 52 years old. Zuria Hukic, 42 years old. Haira Hurem, 67 years old. Amir Huremovic, unknown age of death. Asim Huremovic, 57 years old. Ines Huremovic, 18 years old. Inez Huremovic, 40 years old. Fadil Huremovic, 27 years old. Farudin Huremovic, 41 years old. Ferid Huremovic, 20 years old. Hayrudin Huremovic, 34 years old. Khalid Huremovic, 20 years old. Hamid Huremovic, 69 years old. Hassan Huremovic, 51 years old. Hassan Huremovic, 51 years old. Hasib Huremovic, 20 years. Hasib Huremovic, 22 years old. Hussein Huremovic, 50 years old. Hussein Huremovic, 37 years old. Ibro Huremovic, 41 years old. Izzet Huremovic, 41 years old.
My name is Jeremy Levin. Today I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered in the genocide in Srebrenica. Yusuf Huremovic, 57 years old. Kadria Huremovic, 31 years old. Kadria Huremovic, 33 years old. Medo Huremovic, unknown age at death. Mehmet Huremovic, 49 years old. Mirsad Huremovic, 20 years old. Muyo Huremovic, 82 years old. Muradif Huremovic, 49 years old. Mustafa Huremovic, 18 years old. Necip Huremovic, 18 years old. Nezir Huremovic, 53 years old. Osman Huremovic, 29 years old. Osman Huremovic, 43 years old. Osman Huremovic, unknown age at death. Ramo Huremovic, 26 years old. Rasim Huremovic, 47 years old. Sabria Huremovic, 31 years old. Safet Huremovic, unknown age at death. Samir Huremovic, 18 years old. Sheval Huremovic, 18 years old. Shevko Huremovic, 39 years old. Shevko Huremovic, unknown age at death. Teofik Huremovic, unknown age at death. Velid Huremovic, unknown age at death. Zenuddin Huremovic, 36 years old. Edin Huric, 20 years old. Ibran Huric, 58 years old. Ibro Huric, 56 years old. Meho Huric, 68 years old. Mevludin Huric, 38 years old. Muhyiddin Huric, 20 years old. Muyo Huric, 22 years old. Omer Huric, 27 years old. Ragib Huric, 75 years old. Suleiman Huric, 50 years old. Aliya Huseinovic, 60 years old. Alio Huseinovic, 51 years old. Aziz Huseinovich, 34 years old. Nevad Huseinovich, 20 years old. Esad Huseinovich, 31 years old. Halil Huseinovich, 65 years old. Hasan Huseinovich, 20 years old. Ibrahim Huseinovich, 68 years old. Mehan Huseinovich, 66 years old. Meho Huseinovich, 24 years old. Mevludin Hussein Mirsad Huseinovich, 20 years old. Mirsad Huseinovich, 27 years old. Osman Huseinovich, 30 years old. Ramiz Huseinovich, 18 years old. Shaheen Huseinovich, 43 years old. Suad Huseinovich, 34 years old. Sulio Huseinovich, 25 years old. Velid Huseinovich, 20 years old. Zichret Huseinovich, 21 years old. Abid Huseinovich, 30 years old. Adil Huseinovich, 16 years old. Alia Huseinovich, 39 years old. Avdo Huseinovich, 57 years old. Bechir Huseinovich, 58 years old. Bekir Huseinovich, 33 years old. Emir Huseinovich, 22 years old. Fadil Huseinovich, 36 years old. Hussein Huseinovich, 58 years old. Ibro Huseinovich, 54 years old. Ismet Huseinovich, 32 years old. Meho Huseinovich, 45 years old. Muyo Huseinovich, 38 years old. Omer Huseinovich, 39 years old. Rashid Huseinovich, 33 years old. Sadiq Huseinovich, 13 years old. Haidar Huseinagich, 54 years old. Recep Huseinagich, 46 years old. Alia Huseinovich, 44 years old. Amer Huseinovich, 20 years old. Asim Huseinovich, 25 years old. Atif Huseinovich, 75 years old. Azem Huseinovich, 43 years old. Azim Huseinovich, 29 years old. Behrem Huseinovich, 56 years old. Bekir Huseinovich, 16 years old. Eyüp Huseinovich, 35 years old. Fadil Huseinovich, 16 years old. Fecho Huseinovich, 47 years old. Khairuddin Huseinovich, 51 years old. Hasan Husseinovic, 40 years old. Hasan Husseinovic, 49 years old. Hashim Husseinovic, 58 years old. Hasil Husseinovic, 35 years old. Hazim Husseinovic, 29 years old. Himzo Husseinovic, 3 years old. Hussein Husseinovic, 37 years old. Ibro Husseinovic, 43 years old. Idris Husseinovic, Ismet Husseinovic, 41 years old. Ismet Husseinovic, 48 years old. Izet Husseinovic, 55 years old. Yunus Husseinovic, 68 years old. Kadria Husseinovic, 29 years old. Kemal Husseinovic, 53 years old.
My name is Indira Sultanic. Today, I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Kiram Husseinovic, unknown age at death. Mehmed Husseinovic, 71 years old. Mehmedalia Husseinovic, 48 years old. Meho Husseinovic, 29 years old. Meshan Husseinovic, 43 years old. Midhat Husseinovic, 32 years old. Muya Husseinovic, 37 years old. Munib Husseinovic, 28 years old. Munib Husseinovic, 52 years old. Munib Husseinovic, 53 years old. Muzafir Husseinovic, 69 years old. Nazif Husseinovic, 70 years old. Nejad Husseinovic, 22 years old. Nermin Husseinovic, 24 years old. Nusret Husseinovic, 23 years old. Omer Husseinovic, 59 years old. Osman Husseinovic, 51 years old. Ramiz Husseinovic, 40 years old. Ramo Husseinovic, 56 years old. Recep Husseinovic, 46 years old. Rizo Husseinovic, 40 years old. Sabit Husseinovic, 41 years old. Sadik Husseinovic, 18 years old. Sead Husseinovic, 20 years old. Said Husseinovic, 22 years old. Seydin Husseinovic, 34 years old. Selmo Husseinovic, 58 years old. Senahid Husseinovic, 18 years old. Velid Husseinovic, 43 years old. Abdurrahman Husic, 40 years old. Abid Husic, 67 years old. Adem Husic, 42 years old. Adil Husic, 22 years old. Ahmedin Husic, 16 years old. Ahmo Husic, 59 years old. Ahmo Husic, unknown, age at death. Azem Husic, 34 years old. Aziz Husic, 29 years old. Bahria Husic, 55 years old. Bekir Husic, 25 years old. Behadil Husic, 54 years old. Behaya Husic, 25 years old. Behaya Husic, 45 years old. Dahmo Husic, 33 years old. Demir Husic, 51 years old. Edhem Husic, 39 years old. Enes Husic, 49 years old. Enver Husic, 18 years old. Esad Husic, 34 years old. Fadil Husic, 23 years old. Fadil Husic, 41 years old. Fadil Husic, 60 years old. Fadil Husic, unknown, age of death. Fahrudin Husic, 20 years old. Faruk Husic, 19 years old. Fikret Husic, 21 years old. Hamed Husic, 60 years old. Hassan Husic, 64 years old. Hasib Husic, 45 years old. Hashim Husic, 35 years old. Hidayat Husic, 18 years old. Himza Husic, 36 years old. Hussein Husic, 41 years old. Idris Husic, 60 years old. Islam Husic, 39 years old. Ismet Husic, 50 years old. Izzet Husic, 52 years old. Yusuf Husic, 37 years old. Kadria Husic, 35 years old. Kemo Husic, 15 years old. Mehmed Husic, 51 years old. Mehmed Husic, 56 years old. Mehmedalia Husic, 40 years old. Meho Husic, 40 years old. Mevludin Husic, 23 years old. Mevludin Husic, 33 years old. Mirhat Husic, 20 years old. Mirzet Husic, 27 years old. Muhammad Husic, 16 years old. Muhammad Husic, 23 years old. Muhammad Husic, 43 years old. Muhammad Husic, 56 years old. Muhammad Husic, 60 years old. Muharrem Husic, 41 years old. Muya Husic, 24 years old. Muya Husic, 34 years old. Munib Husic, unknown, age at death. Muradif Husic, 46 years old. Muradif Husic, 46 years old. Mustafa Husic, 21 years old. Mustafa Husic, 45 years old. Nurdin Husic, 21 years old. Ohran Husic, 51 years old. Omer Husic, 68 years old. Osman Husic, 53 years old. Osman Husic, 66 years old. Rahman Husic, 17 years old. Rahman Husic, 26 years old. Ramiz Husic, 52 years old. Ramo Husic, 39 years old.
My name is Aisha Imshirovic. Today I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Ramo Husic, 42 years old. Ramo Husic, 43 years old. Ramo Husic, unknown age at death. Rashid Husic, 49 years old. Ređa Husic, 34 years old. Rashid Husic, 23 years old. Sabahuddin Husic, 20 years old. Shaban Husic, 48 years old. Sabit Husic, 25 years old. Shacher Husic, 40 years old. Safet Husic, 26 years old. Salko Husic, 39 years old. Salko Husic, 43 years old. Samir Husic, 28 years old. Shefik Husic, 30 years old. Said Husic, 41 years old. Seydin Husic, 42 years old. Seydo Husic, 17 years old. Seyfo Husic, 41 years old. Seyfullah Husic, 33 years old. Shemso Husic, 41 years old. Shaval Husic, 27 years old. Shevket Husic, 50 years old. Suad Husic, 36 years old. Sulu Husic, 39 years old. Sulu Husic, 43 years old. Suvad Husic, 25 years old. Tahira Husic, 59 years old. Vahdet Husic, 22 years old. Vahid Husic, 21 years old. Vahid Husic, 40 years old. Vevdo Husic, 27 years old. Veysel Husic, 22 years old. Vekas Husic, 20 years old. Vekas Husic, 29 years old. Zaim Husic, 73 years old. Fadil Husinovic, 39 years old. Elvis Huskic, 24 years old. Mehmed Alia Huskic, 21 years old. Ahmo Ibišević, 50 years old. Ahmo Ibišević, 56 years old. Aljo Ibišević, 40 years old. Avdo Ibišević, 67 years old. Ahmo Ibišević, 50 years old. Ahmo Ibišević, 56 years old. Aljo Ibišević, 40 years old. Avdo Ibišević, 67 years old. Bajro Ibišević, 38 years old. Bego Ibišević, 42 years old. Bekir Ibišević, 37 years old. Čamil Ibišević, 46 years old. Ehdin Ibišević, 21 years old. Ekrem Ibišević, 23 years old. Esmir Ibišević, 17 years old. Hayrudin Ibišević, 19 years old. Hasan Ibišević, 19 years old. Hasib Ibišević, 31 years old. Hashim Ibišević, 24 years old. Hazim Ibišević, 21 years old. Hussein Ibišević, 61 years old. Ibiš Ibišević, 50 years old. Ibiš Ibišević, 51 years old. Ibrahim Ibišević, 56 years old. Ibrahim Ibišević, 63 years old. Ibrahim Ibišević, unknown age at death. Ibro Ibišević, 47 years old. Ibro Ibišević, unknown age at death. Ismail, 31 years old. Izam Ibišević, 19 years old. Yahya Ibišević, 52 years old. Yunus Ibišević, 29 years old. Juso Ibišević, 55 years old. Maho Ibišević, 52 years old. Meho Ibišević, 47 years old. Naila Ibišević, 85 years old. Nazira Ibišević, 20 years old. Ohran Ibišević, 60 years old. Osman Ibišević, 36 years old. Osman Ibišević, 66 years old. Ramiz Ibišević, 40 years old. Ramo Ibišević, 68 years old. Ređo Ibišević, 19 years old. Remzija Ibišević, 52 years old. Rauf Ibišević, 36 years old. Rifet Ibišević, 35 years old. Sabahuddin Ibišević, 15 years old. Shahin Ibišević, 57 years old. Salih Ibišević, 36 years old. Salih Ibišević, 62 years old. Salko Ibišević, 23 years old. Salko Ibišević, 66 years old. Salko Ibišević, 66 years old. Samir Ibišević, 22 years old. Sead Ibišević, 18 years old. Sefedin Ibišević, 23 years old. Sefer Ibišević, 19 years old. Said Ibišević, 22 years old. Selman Ibišević, 60 years old. Selmo Ibišević, 33 years old. Šemso Ibišević, 58 years old. Ševal Ibišević, 26 years old. Ševko Ibišević, 50 years old. Sulo Ibišević, 39 years old. Vehbija Ibišević, 52 years old.
My name is Edna Alic, and today I'll be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Zahir Ibišević, 21 years old. Zaim Ibišević, 38 years old. Zulfo Ibišević, 42 years old. Ismet Ibrahim Begović, 43 years old. Mohammed Ibrahim Begović, 41 years old. Ramiz Ibrahim Begović, 45 years old. Abid Ibrahimović, 47 years old. Abid Ibrahimović, 57 years old. Abid Ibrahimović, 68 years old. Adil Ibrahimović, 33 years old. Admir Ibrahimović, 19 years old. Ahmedin Ibrahimović, 22 years old. Ahma Ibrahimović, 49 years old. Asim Ibrahimović, 54 years old. Avdia Ibrahimović, 19 years old. Azir Ibrahimović, 30 years old. Aziz Ibrahimović, 17 years old. Azmin Ibrahimović, 20 years old. Azmir Ibrahimović, 20 years old. Bego Ibrahimović, 28 years old. Bego Ibrahimović, 53 years old. Bekir Ibrahimovic, 15 years old. Daud Ibrahimovic, 54 years old. Canan Ibrahimovic, 50 years old. Jamil Ibrahimovic, 31 years old. Jamal Ibrahimovic, 45 years old. Ekrem Ibrahimovic, 34 years old. Enver Ibrahimovic, 43 years old. Fatima Ibrahimovic, 39 years old. Fatima Ibrahimovic, 71 years old. Haydin Ibrahimovic, 33 years old. Hayro Ibrahimovic, 21 years old. Hamed Ibrahimovic, 34 years old. Hamed Ibrahimovic, 67 years old. Hamid Ibrahimovic, 37 years old. Hamid Ibrahimovic, 48 years old. Hamid Ibrahimovic, 59 years old. Hassan Ibrahimovic, 35 years old. Hassan Ibrahimovic, 57 years old. Hasib Ibrahimovic, 27 years old. Hasib Ibrahimovic, 49 years old. Hasan Ibrahimovic, 51 years old. Hazir Ibrahimovic, 30 years old. Huso Ibrahimovic, 30 years old. Ibrahim Ibrahimovic, 55 years old. Ibran Ibrahimovic, 18 years old. Ibra Ibrahimovic, 49 years old. Ibra Ibrahimovic, 54 years old. Ibra Ibrahimovic, unknown age at death. Idris Ibrahimovic, 50 years old. Yusuf Ibrahimovic, 66 years old. Yusuf Ibrahimovic, 46 years old. Yusuf Ibrahimovic, 46 years old. Yusuf Ibrahimovic, 64 years old. Kadir Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Kemal Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Mehmed Ibrahimovic, 23 years old. Mehmed Ibrahimovic, 54 years old. Meho Ibrahimovic, 47 years old. Mansur Ibrahimovic, 22 years old. Mesho Ibrahimovic, 27 years old. Mevlid Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Mevludin Ibrahimovic, 20 years old. Mevludin Ibrahimovic, 26 years old. Mevludin Ibrahimovic, 32 years old. Mevludin Ibrahimovic, unknown age at death. Mirzat Ibrahimovic, 21 years old. Mohammed Ibrahimovic, 23 years old. Mohammed Ibrahimovic, 30 years old. Mohammed Ibrahimovic, 59 years old. Mohammed Ibrahimovic, 65 years old. Muharrem Ibrahimovic, 42 years old. Muharrem Ibrahimovic, 44 years old. Muharrem Ibrahimovic, 48 years old. Moyo Ibrahimovic, 53 years old. Mushka Ibrahimovic, 50 years old. Mustafa Ibrahimovic, 57 years old. Nazif Ibrahimovic, 18 years old. Nazif Ibrahimovic, 45 years old. Nazir Ibrahimovic, 30 years old. Najad Ibrahimovic, 25 years old. Nasib Ibrahimovic, 37 years old. Nasiba Ibrahimovic, 25 years old. Niyaz Ibrahimovic, 23 years old. Nurdin Ibrahimovic, 32 years old. Omer Ibrahimovic, 25 years old. Omer Ibrahimovic, 40 years old. Omer Ibrahimovic, 55 years old. Osman Ibrahimovic, 32 years old. Osman Ibrahimovic, 49 years old. Osman Ibrahimovic, unknown age at death. Rahman Ibrahimovic, 26 years old. Rama Ibrahimovic, 25 years old. Rama Ibrahimovic, 33 years old. Rama Ibrahimovic, 46 years old. Rama Ibrahimovic, 53 years old. Rama Ibrahimovic, 62 years old. Rama Ibrahimovic, 68 years old.
My name is Srđan Šušnica, and I will be reading the 100 names of murdered victims during the genocide in Srebrenica. Rashid Ibrahimovic, 41 years old. Rashid Ibrahimovic, 43 years old. Rashid Ibrahimovic, 44 years old. Razmin Ibrahimovic, 17 years old. Rashid Ibrahimovic, 30 years old. Rauf Ibrahimovic, 52 years old. Rauf Ibrahimovic, 53 years old. Shaban Ibrahimovic, 22 years old. Shaban Ibrahimovic, 41 years old. Shaban Ibrahimovic, 47 years old. Shaban Ibrahimovic, unknown age. Sabir Ibrahimovic, 21 years old. Sabir Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Sadik Ibrahimovic, 29 years old. Sadik Ibrahimovic, 53 years old. Safet Ibrahimovic, 18 years old. Safet Ibrahimovic, 51 years old. Safet Ibrahimovic, 57 years old. Shahman Ibrahimovic, 50 years old. Saib Ibrahimovic, 24 years old. Saib Ibrahimovic, 25 years old. Sakib Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Sakib Ibrahimovic, 47 years old. Salchin Ibrahimovic, 66 years old. Salih Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Samir Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Samir Ibrahimovic, 20 years old. Shafik Ibrahimovic, 48 years old. Shemso Ibrahimovic, 53 years old. Senad Ibrahimovic, 15 years old. Senad Ibrahimovic, 16 years old. Senahid Ibrahimovic, 19 years old. Smail Ibrahimovic, 42 years old. Smail Ibrahimovic, 35 years old. Smail Ibrahimovic, 57 years old. Sulja Ibrahimovic, 20 years old. Sulja Ibrahimovic, 51 years old. Vahdet Ibrahimovic, 28 years old. Zahid Ibrahimovic, 31 years old. Zahir Ibrahimovic, 33 years old. Ahmo Ibric, 39 years old. Alija Ibric, 48 years old. Almir Ibric, 20 years old. Renan Ibric, unknown age. Remal Ibric, 42 years old. Edin Ibric, 18 years old. Habib Ibric, 47 years old. Hamdia Ibric, 29 years old. Hamed Ibric, 24 years old. Haris Ibric, 18 years old. Ismet Ibric, 51 years old. Mehan Ibric, 63 years old. Meho Ibric, 30 years old. Mevlid Ibric, 21 years old. Munib Ibric, 47 years old. Nejad Ibrić, 18 years old. Niyazia Ibrić, 30 years old. Ramiz Ibrić, 39 years old. Ramiz Ibrić, 57 years old. Rifet Ibrić, 27 years old. Shaban Ibrić, 50 years old. Safet Ibrić, 45 years old. Shahza Ibrić, 73 years old. Ismail Ibrić, 42 years old. Vesid Ibrić, 16 years old. Hasan Idrizović, 18 years old. Abdurrahman Ikanović, 42 years old. Ahmo Ikanović, 42 years old. Aziz Ikanović, 25 years old. Hedim Ikanović, 51 years old. Ilyas Ikanović, 34 years old. Kemal Ikanović, unknown age. Miralem Ikanović, 28 years old. Musa Ikanović, 20 years old. Nezir Ikanović, unknown age. Omer Ikanović, 42 years old. Rahman Ikanović, 52 years old. Refik Ikanović, 28 years old. Rifet Ikanović, 54 years old. Shaban Ikanović, 35 years old. Salih Ikanović, 49 years old. Salko Ikanović, unknown age. Sinan Ikanović, 44 years old. Zuhdija Ikanović, 71 years old. Amer Imamović, 19 years old. Amir Imamović, 39 years old. Yusuf Imamović, 43 years old. Muhammed Imamović, 24 years old. Nevzet Imamović, 19 years old. Omer Imamović, 55 years old. Safet Imamović, 39 years old. Salih Imamović, 52 years old. Šefket Imamović, 37 years old. Zaim Imamović, 21 years old. Zeyad Imamović, 19 years old. Faruk Imer, 45 years old. Behaya Imširović, 27 years old. Demal Imširović, 32 years old. Fahrudin Imširović, 18 years old. Haso Imširović, 49 years old. Neka im je laka zemlja bosanska.
My name is Melissa Demirovic, and today I will be reading names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Imšir Imširović, 52 years old. Yasmin Imširović, 19 years old. Yusuf Imširović, 34 years old. Mensur Imširović, 30 years old. Mirsad Imširović, 20 years old. Muharrem Imširović, 30 years old. Muneb Imširović, 25 years old. Omer Imširović, 36 years old. Osman Imširović, 40 years old. Rahman Imširović, 75 years old. Ramo Imširović, 16 years old. Ramo Imširović, 54 years old. Asim Isaković, 20 years old. Azem Isaković, 39 years old. Bibir Isaković, unknown age. Jimo Isaković, 34 years old. Farahudin Isaković, 20 years old. Farahudin Isaković, 22 years old. Hakia Isaković, 78 years old. Hasib Isaković, 53 years old. Hasa Isaković, 43 years old. Izet Isaković, 27 years old. Kasim Isakovic, 22 years old. Mehmedalia Isakovic, unknown age. Memish Isakovic, 22 years old. Rahman Isakovic, 55 years old. Rasim Isakovic, 20 years old. Rifet Isakovic, 60 years old. Sabahuddin Isakovic, 22 years old. Sadik Isakovic, 21 years old. Safet Isakovic, 23 years old. Safet Isakovic, 29 years old. Shaheen Isakovic, 54 years old. Salchin Isakovic, 66 years old. Senad Isakovic, 18 years old. Sinan Isakovic, 28 years old. Suljo Isakovic, 20 years old. Ekrem Ismirlic, 32 years old. Hasib Ismirlic, 59 years old. Hashim Ismirlic, 39 years old. Hazim Ismirlic, 30 years old. Ismet Ismirlic, 57 years old. Shahat Ismirlic, unknown age. Abdullah Yahic, 62 years old. Adem Yahic, 70 years old. Ahmet Yahic, 22 years old. Ahmo Yahic, 61 years old. Alya Yahic, 17 years old. Alya Yahic, 40 years old. Almir Yahic, 19 years old. Azem Yahic, 26 years old. Azem Yahic, 27 years old. Azem Yahic, 44 years old. Bahriya Yahic, 67 years old. Bayra Yahic, 17 years old. Bida Yahic, 62 years old. Cemal Yahic, 32 years old. Eyüp Yahic, 50 years old. Ekrem Yahic, 31 years old. Enver Yahic, 18 years old. Esad Yahic, 41 years old. Fahim Yahic, 37 years old. Fikret Yahic, 31 years old. Hamed Yahic, 47 years old. Hasib Yahic, 39 years old. Hasib Yahic, 51 years old. Hedim Yahic, 20 years old. Hussein Yahic, 55 years old. Ibra Yahic, 40 years old. Idris Yahic, 41 years old. Ifet Yahic, 28 years old. Izzet Yahic, 37 years old. Yasmin Yahic, 22 years old. Mehdo Yahic, 36 years old. Mehmed Yahic, 60 years old. Mevlad Yahic, 15 years old. Mevludin Yahic, 17 years old. Mevludin Yahic, 34 years old. Mevludin Yahic, unknown age. Mirsad Yahic, unknown age. Muhammad Yahic, 20 years old. Muhammad Yahic, 21 years old. Nejad Yahic, 24 years old. Nihad Yahic, 18 years old. Nurif Yahic, 57 years old. Nusret Yahic, 22 years old. Omer Yahic, 42 years old. Omer Yahic, unknown age. Osman Yahic, 22 years old. Osman Yahic, 60 years old. Ragib Yahic, 44 years old. Ramo Yahic, 49 years old. Rasim Yahic, 18 years old. Rejo Yahic, 60 years old. Refik Yahic, 20 years old. Reshad Yahic, 36 years old. Rifet Yahic, 33 years old.
My name is Erna Alic, and today I'll be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Shaban Yahic, 31 years old. Shaban Yahic, 52 years old. Sadia Yahic, 34 years old. Saduddin Yahic, 26 years old. Saib Yahic, 35 years old. Saqib Yahic, 23 years old. Saqib Yahic, unknown age at death. Saleh Yahic, 24 years old. Salko Yahic, 58 years old. Sayad Yahic, 19 years old. Sayad Yahic, 34 years old. Sadalia Yahic, 29 years old. Sulyo Yahic, 62 years old. Vehbiya Yahic, 58 years old. Vehbiya Yahic, 74 years old. Abid Yakubovic, 59 years old. Azmir Yakubovic, 28 years old. Bego Yakubovic, 26 years old. Edhem Yakubovic, 45 years old. Ekrem Yakubovic, 40 years old. Enver Yakubovic, 22 years old. Esad Yakubovic, 50 years old. Esed Yakubovic, 45 years old. Fazlia Yakubovic, 40 years old. Fikret Yakubovic, 27 years old. Hayruddin Yakubovic, 37 years old. Hassan Yakubovic, 17 years old. Ismet Yakubovic, 48 years old. Yakub Yakubovic, 16 years old. Mehmet Yakubovic, 21 years old. Moichin Yakubovic, 42 years old. Mustafa Yakubovic, 43 years old. Nazir Yakubovic, 50 years old. Sadat Yakubovic, 21 years old. Saqib Yakubovic, 33 years old. Vehbiya Yakubovic, 61 years old. Zikret Yakubovic, 18 years old. Nurko Yamukovic, 54 years old. Ahmet Yasharovic, 24 years old. Ahmet Yasharovic, 45 years old. Asim Yasharovic, 36 years old. Avdo Yasharovic, 31 years old. Avdo Yasharovic, 66 years old. Bayro Yasharovic, 53 years old. Bekir Yasharovic, 35 years old. Dahamir Yasharovic, 19 years old. Jamil Yasharovic, 40 years old. Esad Yasharovic, 36 years old. Fikret Yasharovic, 23 years old. Fikret Yasharovic, 25 years old. Halil Yasharovic, 51 years old. Hamid Yasharovic, 50 years old. Hazim Yasharovic, 26 years old. Hussein Yasharovic, 59 years old. Huso Yasharovic, 62 years old. Ibran Yasharovic, 30 years old. Ibro Yasharovic, 43 years old. Izudin Yasharovic, 18 years old. Kadriya Yasharovic, 55 years old. Mehmet Yasharovic, 31 years old. Mehmet Yasharovic, 38 years old. Meho Yasharovic, 60 years old. Muhammad Yasharovic, 20 years old. Muhammad Yasharovic, 25 years old. Mustafa Yasharovic, 53 years old. Osman Yasharovic, 48 years old. Osman Yasharovich, 59 years old. Osma Yasharovich, 24 years old. Sadia Yasharovich, unknown age at death. Saqib Yasharovich, 35 years old. Saleh Yasharovich, 57 years old. Nusrat Yashic, 28 years old. Shafiq Yashic, 25 years old. Ibrahim Yelkic, 59 years old. Hazim Yohic, 17 years old. Ragib Yohic, 44 years old. Sulya Yohic, 67 years old. Adem Yugovic, 22 years old. Bego Yugovic, 45 years old. Chamil Yugovic, 60 years old. Edib Yugovic, 19 years old. Fatima Yugovic, 65 years old. Fikret Yugovic, 32 years old. Hamid Yugovic, 53 years old. Mehmet Yugovic, 40 years old. Mehmet Aliya Yugovic, 35 years old. Meha Yugovic, 45 years old. Ramo Yugovic, 34 years old. Saduddin Yugovic, 26 years old. Shamsuddin Yugovic, 27 years old. Shevko Yugovic, 29 years old. Suhad Yugovic, 18 years old. Mehmet Aliya Yukic, 24 years old. Aliya Yunuzagic, 48 years old. Hasan Yunuzagic, 39 years old. Hussein Yunuzagic, 39 years old. Mirza Yunuzagic, 20 years old. Mehmet Yunuzovic, 63 years old. Ömer Yunuzovic, 36 years old. Shaban Yunuzovic, 47 years old.